All right. Like, it's almost the weekend, Friday. Uh, I'm doing stuff. I want to get some things going, but I got some cleanup to do. I have this little Raspberry Pi cluster here, and it used to be called, right. These are named uh, Lukey. My daughter named those, and unfortunately, right now, if I switch to that context, switch to that Kubernetes context, uh, I don't think it will work, right? If I do kubectl get nodes, I don't expect it to work because the Raspberry Pis have moved. They're on a different network. They're still connected to the VPN. So maybe, but no, they don't have Kubernetes ready. So there's nothing should be there. And I need to clean up. And yeah, because of the way I have things set up, I want to take notes. I want to keep track of like what do I need to do. So I'm gonna keep some notes. Uh, yeah, clean up. So the first thing is I'm showing like yeah this. So I'm gonna copy all this. I'm taking notes. This is what it looks like. I think I can do. Yeah, we'll call it bash. Yeah, cool. So then let's stop, right? Control C. So now I'm going to switch back to my local K3D juice, my juice box. And what I'm going to do is, again, let me find my notes. I'm going to do kubectl config delete cluster. That should work, right? All right, so that deleted the cluster. Cool. That deleted the cluster, but does it remove it from my kubectx list? I think I have to delete the context first. Yeah, so it's still showing up there. So I'm going to take a little note. Delete the cluster, but it's still going to show up in the context. So then I want to do kubectl config. I'll do it this way so I can copy paste the kubectl config delete context. All right, with that same name. All right, cool. Now it shouldn't be here. Good. Just taking notes. Just taking notes. Because I don't remember things. So when I do things that I'm gonna, I know I'm gonna need it later, I like to give myself notes, and those will end up on one of my blogs somewhere, because that's where I go. I want to teach myself, do myself a favor. So I did that, but now I'm still not done because hey, I'm so glad that you're here. Let me do this. I'm having a good day. I think we had a good week. Me and some of the kids that I coach, whoops, we are going to be playing Fortnite later. So when that gets released, when the kids get home, we're gonna play Fortnite with JW Barry. Is the plan here. So let me do a shout out to Andy Tux. Thank you for being here. And I'm cleaning up. I've got some Raspberry Pis that I deploy Kubernetes to, but I've rebuilt and again, home lab, yada, yada. So here we are. The last thing I need to do, I'm deleting this old Kubernetes config. So the last thing I need to do is kubectl config. I think it's just delete user cookie, and boom. All right, fantastic. That's the last step. I'm going to copy this over to my notes, and then I'm in good shape. Delete, I think, the user. boop, and that's it, right? So now kubectx, it's not there. The Lukey cluster isn't there. The next thing I do is wait, where'd I don't have a browser here. I don't need any of that. Let me get a browser window, because the next thing that I like to do, my default, is I use K3sup. So I go over here to K3sup. Actually, I think I wrote myself some instructions. GitHub, Deshaun-cloud flux control. I'm trying to stand up some infrastructure. I think this is what I did. So I should have some setup. So I'm going to give it my setup here. This is how I stand up a node. So context ARM64, I'm going to change that piece because my context is going to be Lukey. I'm rebuilding that context. So this is how I stand it up. This is the repository. If you want to play along, if you got one, two, or any number of Raspberry Pis and you want to play along, here we go. That's a good question. I'm not using traffic because here's my default. Let me see if I can draw a picture. I'm going to scoot here. Well, I have like my cluster. I don't have, this is in my home app. So I don't have anything like coming into the ingress, if you will, from external. I split things into kind of a namespace, which we'll probably get to. I put these different namespaces, and inside of those namespaces, they have Cloudflare D. So Cloudflare D, part of how it works is it calls out. It says, hey, cloud, here I am. And then traffic is sent over a bidirectional connection that's encrypted. So I get some of the security. And remember, this little cluster might find its way someplace interesting. So yeah. So that's what I'm doing. And there's other things, but right now I'm just kind of cleaning it up. I rebuilt it, cleaning things up, and we'll go. But that's a good question. When I'm not doing, no, I'm always doing this. I'm always doing this, and I'm always either using Knative, which is bundled with, Contour to handle routing ingress things. But I always have Cloudflare D, so I don't need traffic. I'm good. But I either use Knative or what I'm probably going to do on this one, because I'm trying to do it small, is I'm going to use Keta. And then Keta will route, or it'll watch a Spring Cloud gateway. And that Spring Cloud gateway will handle, so all the routing actually will be like this. Everything that comes into whatever domain I decide to put on there, all the traffic will come, and it'll basically be pointed towards Spring Cloud Gateway, and then Spring Cloud Gateway will handle the routing for that namespace inside of that cluster, where I have all the other services, including Llama 2 is the one that we're doing. So we're going to have a Spring AI. We'll also have a Redis instance. And then what else do we get by default? Prometheus, which seems weird because I have Redis. But Grafana, Loki. Am I missing anything? So for my stuff, right? So if you're going to production, you want to have some certain things in place. So I just want to make that default. But I don't really want to share services with anything because I know the pain. And not that I've got a big organization running on this. You don't have to. You could share services. But just the model that I'm using is like there's no shared services, and it's going to be active, and services get funneled. So I can have a big picture view, but I can also know exactly what's going on inside of a cluster. And if there's bad connectivity, I have my data there. So I can I can split things up. But that's where we're at. Just stay tuned. If you are interested in Kubernetes, Spring Boot on the edge, those kind of things, my channels might be worth watching. So we just cleaned up. All right, so we've got a clean cluster. We looked, this is how we got here. We're gonna use K3 sup to hit this IP Lukey, and we're gonna merge things in. So when I create this cluster, I also want that config merged into my existing set. Right, here's my configs. These are all the clusters that I've got. One more thing is, do I have these clusters over here? I guess it's okay. All right, so I don't have the Lukey cluster over there. So we're in good shape. So let's do this. Sorry. Let's grab our K3 subcommand. Again, we're creating at this point, it's a single node cluster. I hope that this doesn't run when I paste it. Let me do this. There we go. Haha. You didn't get me on that one. So I'm going to do this, and then I hit Control E. I'm going to call this context Lukey. This is the name of the cluster. I got to fix its IP address. I think I can figure that out. Please hold. I use Tailscale to do that, and I think. Oh, there we go. So the IP address. 87.213.28. Fantastic. Everything else looks good. Yeah. So let's go. That should work. So it's going. The cool thing is I'm getting the latest version of Kubernetes, which I can see over here that I'm not on. So another thing is, like, I like to be on the latest and greatest. So we should talk about for dev, delete it and redeploy it. Right? I don't need zero downtime stuff. But yeah, here we are. We're creating a Kubernetes cluster. So this is just one node. This cluster is a 2-node cluster. And I believe those are Raspberry Pi 4s that have 8 gigs of memory, and they are powered with Power over Ethernet, PoE. You know what I can do? Watch this. I think I can do this. Ooh, this is risky. Probably not the wisest thing to do as somebody that's live streaming. The smart thing is probably not to just like, hey, let's try something new that I didn't plan for. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to show you this little cluster by going to extra camera. Oh, and there it is. Let's see if this works. There it is. There's my little 2 Raspberry Pi cluster. Oh, whoops. There it is. That's my little Raspberry Pi cluster that has, it's powered by PoE. So it's just the 2 wires. There's no other power wires. It's getting this power over the Ethernet there. And that's it. That's the box that here in a minute is going to be running. It's running, one of those boxes is running Kubernetes now with K3S. And in just a minute, it's going to have Ollama deployed by a Helm chart. And yeah, I've got questions. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to remove this. I just wanted to show you my Raspberry Pis. I'm going to hit disconnect. And who knows, it might freeze, but what else could go wrong? So there's the cluster. And yeah, like do it all the time. It's fun, right? It's either a demo or it's a troubleshooting demo. I got that from Cora, right? All right, so I got some stuff. We've got a Kubernetes cluster that's going to show up here in my kubectx. And there it is. And I can say, hey, let's kubectx. Switch to that cluster. And I can say, whoops, clear. I can say kube cuddle get nodes. And there, I got a node. And it's on a late-ish version of Kubernetes. Fantastic. We're in good shape. So now, the way that I have things set up is I want to add this cluster. I want to add it to my config. So I've got this definition of all of my different clusters, and you see that Luki's not there. It was at one point. Now it's not. So let's get Luki going. And hopefully I gave myself some notes on how to do this. I want to do this flux bootstrap command. Here it is. So I switched to that Luki cluster, or that Luki, right? If I go kubectx-c, it says Luki. And then I want to bootstrap it. So I want it to be managed by GitOps with Flux CD. So I'm using the Flux CLI. So here, done. Oh, because I know exactly what's wrong. All right, so what I do is fun Deshaun-cloud. This is the directory. This is how I manage things on my machine. Is in my fun directory. I've got the organization for GitHub or GitLab, and then I've got the repository. That's how I find things on my machine. So I'm going to go into Flux Control, and in Flux Control, I don't have it shared, but in there I've got a envrc file that connects to my secret store and pulls and puts all of the secrets into my my environment. So now when I do that Flux Bootstrap, it's going to have the GitHub user and the GitHub personal access token. Fantastic. So now what I can do is I can get out of here and I can hit K9s again. And now I'm connected to the Luki cluster, right, on the latest and greatest versions of Kubernetes. I'm going to hit the 0 button to show like, hey, now Flux is being installed. So I've got Kubernetes and Flux, so minimal, right? We're trying to do as much as we can on the minimum amount of infrastructure possible. So as that's coming, fantastic. And I don't have to wait for this. I'm going to, because I'm a geek. You can hear the fans spinning up. So that brings up a good point. One of the things that I did before turning on the stream is I repaved these. So what do I do to repave it? I generate an OS image. There was a USB drive. I generated it with Raspberry Pi Imager. I put that in. I used Ubuntu 23.10, the 64-bit server, so minimum. Then I installed the Squid Deb proxy client. Actually, I can put all this up, right? These are my steps. So this was before the stream. This is what I did. I did the Raspberry Pi Imager. I did Ubuntu 23.10. I did this because I have in my lab back there, I have a proxy. I have an apt proxy, so that instead of calling out to the Ubuntu app repositories for the ARM64 images, I just call to another computer that's in my network, and it uses the network announce protocol. I forget what it is, but this allows my Raspberry Pis to find that I've got a apt caching mechanism in my lab on the network. So that's what that's for. Then I do the update. Again, I don't want to pull down all the new apt .deb files and stuff. I don't want to pull that down from the internet. I want to pull it on my faster local network. And then I upgrade everything. Again, I already had all the stuff. But then I add these Linux modules. Remember, I did Ubuntu, so I got to add these extra modules for the Raspberry Pi. And I set up the Prometheus node exporter. This is the default. This is what I do for all the things in my home lab. So now I've got Prometheus data being exposed on those. I'm on the latest and greatest at that point. But I know that I'm going to be running Kubernetes. So another thing I need to do is this. I need to add these C group values. I need to set those in my firmware. And this is how I do it. I edit this firmware command line.txt file, and I make it so that I can run Docker and Kubernetes on my Raspberry Pi. Then I install Tailscale, make it a part of my Tailscale network of my VPN so I can connect to it from different places. And this is how I do it. Yes, I'm using the curl pipe bash. I stand it up. And then here's where we are right now. We're adding that Kubernetes cluster. So that's what I did before the stream. This is the first thing I did. When we got here, I deleted the old context and here we are. So let's jump back. Flux is installed. But remember, I've got 2 nodes. So the next thing I want to do is I want to expand this cluster from 1 to 2 nodes. So I'm going to clear this out. I want to show you one more thing. What happened when I did that bootstrap is I now have a new cluster that shows up here in my clusters, right? Because I'm doing this cool GitOps, right? I don't have to keep track. There it is. There's my stuff. So there's my cluster that's being managed by GitOps, by FluxCD. Let's do the next step. We want to add my other node. We're going to come back to that because I got to generate some new keys. But here, I want to do this. So I've got a new IP address that I want to add to this server IP address and join it to the cluster. So I'm going to go over here and I know that I'm going to do this first because I don't have those other values and I'll fill those in. So the agent IP, this is the new node that we're adding is 100.126.179.119. All right, the server IP is 100. It's the same one that we did before, 87.213.28. All right, does that look good? All right, let's give it a shot. So now I should be adding, I'm adding a node, this one to this cluster. That's easy. Well, I like Keith, stuff makes it easy. But here's the thing, I don't really like messing around with Kubernetes. It's not easy, right? It's complex, it's flexible, and you have tons of options, you have tons of ways of doing things, but I don't like messing around with Kubernetes. But what I do want to be as close to production as possible. So locally, I run Kubernetes. Because oftentimes in production, I'm also running Kubernetes. So it's nice to have a way to do things locally that are going to match in production so I can have that parity as much as possible because it's important, right? If I wasn't Kubernetes on my laptop and I was wanting to deploy cloud native apps to Kubernetes or Cloud Foundry, then I would have a big disconnect, right? How do I know? It works on my machine, right? So there we are. This is what I want to do. So I run Kubernetes locally. I want to now see like kubectl get nodes. I want to see that I've got 2 nodes. This is great. Fantastic. It's been up for a whole 23 seconds. And then I can go back over here and I should see it, right? It should, that second node, there's nothing here that says there are 2 nodes. Because everything's deployed to node 0, or this first node. There's nothing deployed to the other one, but it's there. So now what did I want to do? Let's go back here. I've got clusters. And I'm going to look at what I'm doing on my juice box because this is where I started. So I deployed Keta. Yeah, and that's going to deploy the operator, right? But I also deployed Olama, and I don't think this is the right way to do it. Because in a cluster, oh yeah, I guess, no. I think I want to deploy these things on a per namespace. Hey, long time no see. How are you? I'm so happy that you're here. That put a smile on my face. I'm glad you're here. Hope things are going well. I hope you're ready for the weekend. I think you might be already into the weekend. But anyways, I hope you're having a good time. I'm playing around. It's weird. I've got Spring workloads that I want them to get to production. I want them to be exposed so we can all play with it. And you can see that it's actually working. So here I am. I'm trying to now deploy. I want to deploy some stuff to this cluster, and in my head, I don't want to. I don't want to deploy Olama to the cluster. I want to deploy Olama to the namespace that I'm going to be consuming it in. I got to work this weekend, so not much weekend for me, but yes, technically it is almost Saturday here. But it's very nice to see you again too. Fantastic. Fantastic. So I want things in a namespace. So I want all of this in a namespace. So I'm going to deploy Keta to the cluster. But I'm not going to deploy Olama. So I'm not going to do it the same way. Let's see if I have things pulled down. Let's bring that over. So let me do a git pull. So I have all those changes. And then I'm going into Lukey. And what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to say, hey, I want to copy this. There we go. So now I've got an infrastructure directory. This is just my convention. Yeah, it feels kind of dirty doing the copy paste, but we'll do that for now. But I don't want Olama, so I'm going to delete that one. I don't want that there. So I'm just going to deploy Keta, and let's take a look. So all I'm saying here is go use this infrastructure Keta, which is down here, and that's it. There's your customization and what that actually deploys. Right, we can scoot down here and take a look. Here it is. It says, hey, here's a customization. You're just going to point to this Helm YAML, and that Helm YAML pulls in Keta. So here's the name. Here's the namespace where it's going to be deployed to, the repository, and the chart. So that's it. Let's do that. So just by adding up here into my Lukey cluster, again, we're doing everything with GitOps. By adding that, I'm saying deploy Keta to this Lukey cluster. Git status. That's the only thing I changed. Git add dot git commit add Keta to Lukey. Like, that makes sense, right? Git push. So now, you know what? Here's the thing. I can deploy Keta to just a namespace too. Keta doesn't have to control the whole cluster. So maybe I just made a mistake. For the same reason with Olama, maybe I want Keta inside of my namespace. So let's go take a look at that real quick. I don't have to do it that way. I don't have anything namespace specific. It's going to be fine. We'll keep going. We'll keep going for now, and we'll circle back. I think we're going to be okay. Yeah, I think we're okay. Sorry. I also am doing other work, so give me a sec. I just want to peek. I'm a Spring Developer Advocate. I work at Broadcom, and my teammates, sometimes I get pinged in the ear. Oh, you guys can't hear the music. Well, that's annoying. Here, let's go. I'm going to change my audio, and then you guys are going to hear all the beeps and the pings and stuff going on in the background. So let me hit this button. And maybe that works. Maybe now you hear music. What is Keta? Good question. Because I deploy to Raspberry Pis. Oh, you're not hearing the music still? One sec. Let me see if I can fix it. Audio stream. Hopefully. Oh, wait. I don't know why it's not working. Um, this streaming is hard. Anyways, uh, yeah, because I deploy to Raspberry Pis and I do things on the edge, spring on the edge, uh, small footprint. Uh, I do things like Knative. So this is what I've, was kind of the default for a long time. I would use Knative to allow me to scale to 0 and scale up quickly. So if we go look here at javagrunt.com, pay attention. Javagrunt.com is running back there on a Raspberry Pi. And you see it takes a little bit here, but then it stands up. So it stands up that instance Spring Cloud Gateway to go and hit whatever it needs to hit, in this case, the website. But it doesn't get a lot of traffic. So why leave it up? Let me do other things when that's not being used. Let me use the same resources. Don't just stand and listen on port. Hey, is there any traffic? Let me have other things listening. And Knative makes that happen. So Knative, I can switch over to that. Oh, so this is coming up. Let's do it this way. We're going to switch to ARM64. And we're going to go and take a look at where that JavaGrunt is running. So we can see that there's tasks that are scheduled with the cron capabilities built into Kubernetes. But here's the gateway. So that gateway is up. It's been up for 54 seconds, but it was scaled to 0. So this is what I like. Like I want to use as few resources as possible. I can have a lot of stuff. So now that nobody's hit it, that gateway service is scaling back down. Like, hey, there's nobody calling me right now, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to sleep. Yeah, so it's like a sleep mode until someone requests it. Exactly. So Knative does things in this way, right? We've got a lot of stuff. Knative does have to control the whole cluster, so it's a little bit different scale, right? So here I can look at this memory column and I look side by side, like what do I need to run Knative? We add up those numbers, and there's one more column up there. And what do I need to run Keta? And I add up those numbers. But with Keta, I need something listening. Like Keta's got to have some way of getting an event to decide what to do. So I'll show you what I've been doing, what I've been playing with, thanks to Dr. Dave Sire. It's just, he opened my eyes up to this idea. So let's go to kubectx, and then it's K3D juice. That's my local machine. And on this local machine, this is where I've been doing my development. This is what we're going to take over to these Raspberry Pis. I've got Keta, but I've got a gateway, Spring Cloud Gateway service that takes up 82. But the Keta plus this native image that's running 82 megs is still significantly smaller than Knative. So I'm going to leave my gateway service up, and I'm going to choose to use that with Keta instead of Knative. I'm exploring this, and this is the model that I'm doing. So yeah, now it actually boots up the Spring application when it's requested. Yes, that's what happens. So let's do this. Let's watch. I don't think I have any other apps here. I'm trying to think. Let's go back. Let's go back to ARM64 and let's watch. So the gateway is not there. The gateway is not there. It's not using resources. But then when we go and hit javagrunt.com, we'll see that let me refresh that. There we go. And we should see it stands up. And then let's go take a look. It's standing up. Here we go. And here's our logs. Oh, I'm embarrassed because that's out of date. That's old. But I want to show, where's the wrap button? W. I want to show you that because it's a native image, the image took half a second to stand up. And then it processed the route, which sent it to where the static site is. So it's Java. I do Spring in Java, and this is what I do. But all of this is on small infrastructure. So could it then also scale up to more than one if it got a lot of traffic out? That is another good use case for having this scale to 0. And the way I configure that, and let's go look at this example, github.com. All of the Java grunt stuff is here. This is all stuff that I developed live while I'm streaming. But let's go over here. And what I use is this Flux repository. This is the way that I give the Java grunt com namespace the flexibility to decide what's getting deployed. And we were looking here at the gateway. And in here, I said, hey, the max scale is 1. For this app, the max scale is 1. So this one's not going to scale up a bunch. But we can do a quick experiment. I want to show you this because it is a great question. And yeah, this whole idea of being able to scale up quickly when the app only takes a few hundred milliseconds to scale up and then it can start taking traffic, you can do some interesting things. So here's what we should do. First of all, we should do an upgrade. So let's just go ahead and do that real quick. Let's go ahead and I'll open this up over here. I'm gonna open up a new directory. I'm gonna go to fun, Java grunt, com, and we were in com, Java grunt, gateway service. But I was using a different branch. I was using the Keta branch. So let's do git checkout main. Let's do a git pull. Cool, no deltas. My POM is going to be on 3.2.2. That's what we had. Right, cat pom.xml. We're going to go look and see that, hey, I was embarrassed. Wait, my main has been updated. Oh, I wonder if I did this experiment on main first. I made some changes here. I'm a little embarrassed here because I want to update this, but let's just do it. Like what could possibly go wrong? We're going to update it, we're going to deploy it, but we're going to deploy it with some scaling capabilities, and we'll show that we can actually scale things up pretty fast. So am I on? Am I where I need to be? So it looks like I made a mistake, and on main I put the Keta stuff. So maybe just undo that because Keta is not running in prod yet. So let's do this. What's the easiest way to do this? What happens if I go to git tag? Because watch this. I have my actuator set up. So I can go up here, I can go to production, and I can say actuator info. And I can see that, oh, I've got this version deployed. Right? How cool is that? I can see which version of that artifact is deployed to production. I could have done it other ways, but this helps me. So now I want to go here, and those are all the tags. I want to, can I check out a tag? Git checkout tag. Git checkout tag. To check out a git tag, follow these steps. Yeah, I got the tags. Hello. Git checkout tags v 0.0.18. So this is where we were. Now what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to move this to main. All right, this is the one that has version 3.2.2. So how do I do that? I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. So let's see if let's do it together. Git detached head to main. Git detached head. What does this mean? And how do I recover from the git detached head? I want to move it. I want that code. Commit head. I'm looking. Yeah. This is key. Yes. If it makes sense for the application. That is the key, right? I don't know Git as well as I should. And yeah, here's what it is. Let's go back here. Check out. We're just gonna do this. Check out main. And I heard a beep in my ear. Maybe you didn't. So let me just make sure that my folks are all taken care of. I apologize. This is not good streaming, but I got to take care of my people. I want to keep my job. So I'm looking over here to make sure that I'm not dropping the ball on anything and that my people are taken care of. You matter, but I want to make sure that my people are taken care of as well. All right. Here, what I'm going to do is just grab all this stuff. I know that I don't need this. I have it on another branch. Oops, I did too much. Oh wait, what's happening? I'm in the wrong class. I don't need these. Again, we are on main, and we're just trying to get back to just clean. We're upgrading the version that's running in production, and we're gonna we're gonna validate that we can scale quickly. Anything else here? Oh, it's 323. That's fantastic. We don't need this request counting filter because we're simpler than that. We don't need that. So this is one of the trade-offs. When I'm using Springtail Gateway, I'm handling, I'm emitting some of these details about what needs to scale and how it needs to scale. I think I also have, is this okay? Where do I want to define my routes is the next question. I don't need this. We're just deleting code, doesn't have any bugs, right? I'm gonna go this way. And I'm gonna go pull github.com, again, javagrunt.com, and that gateway service that I've been messing around with. I'm trying to get better at like having my branches and having like a dev's test prod or dev laptop, not prod, to do, because that's what you're doing. And I want to have that skill set. I was going from laptop to prod to it's exposed to the world. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to this, back to version 18 that was currently running in production. And I'm going to no, I don't want to do that. I want to go here. This is what I want to do. In my application YAML for that version, ooh, can I not see it? Hello. Let's do. I want to go to the code. There we go. And I want to go to source main resources, and I want to get the routes that I had defined in. Hello. I hit source main resources. I want to go to the routes that I had defined in my YAML right here because that's my jam. We'll just grab this Spring Cloud Gateway. We're going to put that back here. So we got rid of stuff. I'm not going to need this bean. This is all I need. This is a nice, clean Spring Cloud Gateway that I can modify this way. I can put all my route definitions. This doesn't have to exist in my class. I can put these configs into a config server, and I can manage my routes just by changing config in a config server. And I don't have to do a new deployment and do anything. That's what I like. So this is the way it's deployed right now. That's matching production. The only thing that we're changing is this. we upgraded 323. So I think if I do git status, we got a few changes. We're going to go ahead and add them all and git commit. And we're reverting back to Knative. And what else? That's it. That's the only difference. And git push. So here's the thing. I did a git push. That goes up, and now that's where it's supposed to be. It's committed, but I didn't give a version. I want to deploy this to production. I want to kick off my path to production, my CI/CD, my supply chain. The way that I like to do it is with tags. So I can commit. That's cool. I can keep track and not lose my place. But when I'm ready to go to production, I tag it. So I'm going to do git tags. Git tag, and I'll see all the tags. Looks like 23 is the latest tag, but 23 didn't go to production. The latest in production was 18, but I'm going to give it a new tag. Git tag v0.0.24. Git push origin v0.0.24. Now this, in my setup, remember I Raspberry Pis, I got Nooks, I got different infrastructure. So what I'm going to do over here is over at Circle CI has these ARM64 runners that I've been a big fan of for a long time. And yeah, I'm going to go over to Circle CI. And what I'm hoping to see is my ARM64 native image. I'm building native images because I'm running on Raspberry Pi. So that's kicked off. There's that V0024. But then also over here on GitHub, I'm using GitHub Actions. And again, this is all available. You can go and grab it. I think it's cool. I'm using GitHub Actions, and it's doing a two-step. It's building the native image here, and it's waiting for the Circle CI native image. Because at the end, what gets deployed, it looks like this. I have a ARM64, and then I have a AMD 64, right? This one is over at Circle CI, and this one, AMD 64. When those are done, I glue them together in a manifest, a Docker manifest. So that's what my process is doing right now. It's going to take a minute. So that's building the native image for AMD 64. This one's building the native image for ARM 64. And then this will glue them together in a manifest. And what we'll see here in a second at Hub, again, my conventions, there it is. We're going to have a new version here of 0.0.24, right? Because all of my stuff gets kicked off from a release. And in that release, we're going to have a layer that's AMD 64, and we'll have another layer that's ARM 64. And depending on which host you're calling from, if I'm on AMD 64, I will only get this layer. And this layer matches this down here. So you see I did a 0023 x86. And that digest value matches that one. All I did is glue them together. So this one matches here, and this one, the Arch 64, matches this one. And there we go. That's how manifests work, and it's pretty straightforward. This is my path. My role, I am a Spring developer advocate. So my role is I'm here at your service. I'm here to help you with Spring and get Spring to production. That's my job. Thank you so much. I'm sorry that I missed these notes. I always appreciate this, the feedback. It's helped a lot over the years. So, hey, thank you so much for stopping in. I appreciate you swinging by. Go to bed, do your thing. Yeah, get your rest. You deserve it. But yeah, you are absolutely welcome. I hope to see you again soon. So let's get, when I was streaming on Twitch years ago, just our time zones, I was doing a lot of late night streams. I'm just like hacking through stuff. And yeah, and we got to do some cool stuff, but we collaborated and we were working on stuff together. And I think there was actually a couple of OSS PRs that we merged, and we got, we submitted and got accepted into a couple of projects. So yeah, I got this little community of folks from Twitch streams and YouTubes and all the places. But if you're having fun, if this is interesting, yeah, hit the button, right? Smash the whatever button on whatever platform you're on. So let's take a look. It shouldn't take too long. It shouldn't take very long. We have some timings here. So it's only been going for 3 minutes. But let's go back. We're going to make one more change because I want to deploy this new version that's on the latest, greatest. I want to deploy that. I don't have to open up a repository for it. This is an easy change to make. I'm going to edit it right here in GitHub. I want to change to version 24, except I want to let this scale up to 3 instances. I want to let it scale up to 3 instances. So I'm going to commit. Boop. And right, this doesn't exist yet. Right? So Knative, or sorry, FluxCD. Boop, boop. FluxCD is like, hey, I got this version here. Oh, and somebody hit it, so it's up and running. But I don't have an instance. I can go here to customizations. And I'm going to see that this is going to change here in a second. No, it's down this one. There it is. So it's going to say like, hey, like, did I push? Did I push that change? I think I did, right? We're done. We committed it. Sorry, I forget if I did it. Yeah, we just did. So that's there. Flux is watching this repository, and Flux is going to say like, hey, yeah, I would like to deploy that for you. And it doesn't exist. Or maybe it does. It does. All right, it doesn't exist yet. So it'll keep on retrying. That's part of what Kubernetes does. It'll keep on retrying until it gets that version, until that version is available, and then it'll deploy it. So we're going to wait for some seconds for that new version to get deployed. First of all, it's got to get created. It's got to land over here so we can pull it down into our cluster. But I'm trying to do all of this stuff out in the open. I know we're talking Java Grunt stuff right now, but I'm basically going to take where the Java Grunt repositories here. I'm going to do something similar, but with less stuff, with less to manage over at Redis Geek. So I've got another domain, redisgeek.com, that we're just going to reswizzle. And we're going to do the same kind of stuff. We want to make a side-by-side where Java Grunt's being deployed with a microservice architecture. Microservices. I'm deploying a bunch of different resources. I'm deploying a bunch of different resources that each do one thing and they can be scaled separately. Over at Redis Geek, we're going to deploy similar stuff, except we're going to deploy a monolith. So it's going to have the same functionality delivered in one artifact as modules. So I can do interesting things. And if at some later point I want to split those modules out into microservices, I can, but I'm going to simplify my life. I'm going to make it a little bit easier to deploy things for Redis Geek and all the other things that go along with a monolith and how you deliver with a monolith. That way I'm going to have kind of this compare and contrast between two different domains and two different deployment strategies that we can talk about here. So that's the whole point here is I'm going to be doing some things with Redis Geek and Modulus to kind of do this side-by-side comparison. But I hope that you'll play along and you'll be here for that journey as we kind of learn in public. So I'm expecting this to be here any second. And I got the layers, but the manifest isn't there yet. So I got a x86 layer. It's still waiting for the Circle CI ARM64 layer, which, yeah, it's taking a little bit longer, but it might take 9 minutes. And that's okay. So what my pipeline over here is doing is it has a retry loop built into it. So it says, hey, can I pull it down? No, okay, wait for a minute. And then it'll say, hey, can I pull it down? No, okay, wait for a minute. But that's built in. That is part of just my default path to production, and that's over here in my workflow. So what's happening is, hey, I'm gonna time out after 5 minutes, but I'm going to wait 60 seconds before I retry, and I'm going to try up to 6 times. So I'm basically giving myself, I'm giving myself 6 minutes-ish to retry to pull down the Arch 64 version. So let's take a look. Let's see what's going on. Oh, it looks like our manifest is done. So that worked. So now over here, I expect to see a 0024 version after I hit refresh. Cool. So now I've got native images, tiny little native images. The containers are small because there's no JVM included in there. It's just the operating system and the native code. So these are small images. And because I have that, I can do really cool things. Fast startup time, small footprint, because the memory footprint's also small. And I have it for both x86 and ARM64, like my Raspberry Pi. So now that we have that, now we can go over here and here it says, hey, something's not ready. We're not good. So it's trying to do the deployment. Oh, and there's the deployment. So now if I go back to my pods, I'm going to see this Spring Cloud Gateway instance, but it's not coming up. Something is wrong. Oh, and the kids are home, but let's see what's happening. And I bet you it's something with secrets. Address is already in use. What did I do? Oh, I left a gRPC server in there somehow. What did I do? I didn't need this, but I made a mistake somewhere. Unless I had another, I wonder what happened here. I know what it was. It's this. It's that I didn't take out the gRPC server. That's what it was. So I'm going to take this out. You're going to have to hold on just a little bit, and I'm going to take this out. For those of you that don't know, Fortnite new season started today. So now that the kids are home, they are ready to go. So let me pull these things out. I'll do it again. But you know, that's a good stopping point anyways. I'm going to be on later. I'll be doing some more of this stuff. I'm going to go take care of the kids and hang out for a little bit. So hopefully that was fun. If you liked it, click follow, join, sub, do the things. I'll be doing more of this over the weekend because I got some really cool stuff I want to get to next week, starting on Monday. So I'm trying to get some of this infrastructure stuff. Of course, it's all going to be GitOps. I want to get this out the door because I want to show some of the new cool things. And actually, I want to show some of the old cool things that you can do with Spring Boot. But they're still cool. So thank you for joining. I hope you're heading into a wonderful weekend. And I hope to see you again soon. Thanks.